We are your home for exclusive interviews and behind-the-scenes stories you won't hear anywhere else. This is all about Kentucky tracks, Kentucky drivers, and Kentucky fans. We eat, sleep, and breathe it anyways, so we figured why not make a podcast about it? For 11 years, we've been keeping the bluegrass covered in dirt. Now, we're doing it bigger than ever before. We are Kentucky's Dirt Racing Podcast. Welcome to another edition of Dirt Racing in the Bluegrass Live, presented by Smokehouse Grill and Buffet.
And welcome in, everyone, to episode 24. Wes, I was looking at the schedules earlier this week. Can you believe it? There on most track schedules right now. There are less events left this year than the. You know, we're already over halfway through the dirt racing season here in the state of Kentucky. Just crazy to think about. I mean, it's just this season has gone by so fast, man.
It is crazy. But, I mean, you look back at all the racing that we've already covered this year in 2023, and then still huge months ahead of us. The rest of July, August is going to be another just jam-packed month for the state of Kentucky and our dirt tracks. Then September, October. So, yeah, we still got a lot to go. But Sherry and I were talking about it yesterday, I guess it was. I said, do you just, it's hard to believe how many races that we've got to go to this year and have been blessed to go and watch and cover, and it's just crazy. Just absolutely having a great 2023.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm with you. It's just it's been awesome. Wes is having the time of his life. He's taking selfies with everybody he can find to take a selfie with at the racetrack, and just so much fun. But it's been a great year and a whole lot of fun for sure. This is the Bluegrass Restoration and Construction Studio. This segment is sponsored by Dirtman Diecast. I'm Josh Chastain. I'm in Richmond. Wes Lanham is in Campbellsville. We're also joined by Jeff Sachse of Racing Rumble. Jeff, we had you on, I think it's been a little while back. In fact, Wes and I were talking about it before the show. I think it was a practice episode when we originally had you on. That was a lot of fun. So tonight's the real deal, and we're glad to have you on here with us.
Yeah, I was originally there for the hot laps.
Yeah, you were.
So
yeah,
it's the real deal. It's feature time.
Yeah, that's right. It's feature time. It's time to rock and roll now. And I think what a lot of people out there don't realize. Of course, a lot of people know that you do the videos and everything. You do a great job with those with Racing Rumble. I always enjoy them. I just finished earlier today watching the race from this past weekend at Mud Lick, and so that is very helpful. For those of us who can't be in three places at once. But you also have promotion experience. You've done a lot of things in racing throughout the years, and so you're a valuable asset to all of us here in the dirt racing community in Central Kentucky.
Yeah, I've been having a blast. The main thing is I'm semi-retired, so the videoing is what I do now at racetracks. I don't really get much more involved in that these days. It's a fun thing to do. I enjoy going to the different tracks, meeting different drivers, and the feedback has been really good about the videos. When I actually promoted races, I always had a videographer cover my events so I could look back at them on a later date and enjoy them as I get closer to real retirement. So yeah, it's been a blast getting all the different tracks down here, and I think I've seen just about everything in Kentucky and taped there now except Paducah.
Okay.
That's a long way away on the other side. And so I think if I start on a Thursday, I might be able to get there by Friday. So
yeah.
one of these days I'll get over to Paducah. But there's a nice group of tracks right here in Central Kentucky, and these days I kind of feel obligated to keep showing back up at those tracks, so I don't travel quite as much as I used to.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely a good thing that you do. Like I said, we we certainly appreciate it. I do want to mention we've got a good crowd on here, a good start to the show tonight. We've got a lot of people on here. If you don't care, just share this out. Let's get some more people on here. We've got a lot to talk about here tonight, along with like I said, I told Jeff, I said just come on with us, start the show. We'll roll with it. We also have the Racetrack Connection hotline, so feel free to give us a call there. We want to hear from you this evening. I know I talked to a lot of people who say, hey, I've thought about calling. Well, tonight's the night. Give us a call. Talk to us about any of the events that went on this past weekend or whatever else you want to talk about. We'll just be happy to take your call. Tonight's the night. Let's get some calls on the Racetrack Connection hotline. Share this out. Also, please share this with your friends. Do that very quickly for us. Let's get some more people on here because, like I said, just a big night. Coming up on the podcast, recapping a huge weekend from the 4th of July weekend, racing every night. Including Monday, and so it was just overall a great weekend. But Wes. We've got to take advantage of tonight because I just got confirmation, we're going to go with it. We're being booted off for next weekend. Not sure what we're going to call it yet, but it's going to be Girls Rule Dirt Racing in the Bluegrass Live, Ladies Night on Dirt Racing in the Bluegrass Live. Not sure what we're going to call it yet, but it's going to be an all girls night, all ladies night here next Wednesday on Dirt Racing in the Bluegrass Live. I know my wife Sarah is going to host the podcast. We're going to have. The Hope, Shauna Jones said she would be able to come on here with us. Michelle Harris said she'd have to check and see, but I think she'll be able to be on here as well. We're going to have, she doesn't know it yet, but we want to have Amanda. This is the way we work. We want to have Amanda Hasty on here. She's a hobby stock driver in the hobby stock division. So all girls night. And then we may get some others and may go from there. All girls night. Next Wednesday night on the podcast. Wes, we're being booted off.
That's okay. We'll probably have us a show on Monday night.
yeah. Yeah, we might have to have another night, maybe next Monday night, because a big week coming up next week. Lake Cumberland, I had to check this like 3 different times to make sure I was right, just because schedule has been so crazy this year. But I think in our little core area, our core little group of tracks here, this coming weekend, Lake Cumberland Speedway is the only one racing this coming Saturday, April the 8th, I think.
Yeah, I think what originally happened when I looked at the schedules earlier in the year, in fact, I looked earlier this week, Richmond was supposed to have a fan appreciation night. So I think the tracks are trying to work around each other a little bit. And, of course, they had that terrible storm roll through there, so now they're not running. So Lake Cumberland is the only track locally that I found. Of course, Willard is going to go and have an event this week. And Mudlick is actually off, too, this week. So, it's going to be Lake Cumberland and Willard, this area.
Yeah, so kind of a crazy week, but it'll be a good one, and I'm sure Lake Cumberland will have a good night there. I'm sure that place will be packed with fans, as it always is, and plenty of drivers. So, but yeah, I mean, it just sort of took me by surprise when I realized they were the only track scheduled for this weekend. So good for them. And then, of course, like you said, Willard running as well. So, be 2 good events up there. Something we talked about last week, Wes. I mean, it was really good this past Monday night because you had Lake Cumberland ended up raining out on Sunday. They moved their Summer Nationals race to Monday. Mudlick also had their big 5,000 to win late model race. But really, you're talking about 2 different pools of drivers, fans that really had no impact on each other. 2 great events. So that's something that was really good to see on a night that is usually not a dirt track night. Monday night, both of those tracks, had a really good turnout and great events at both places.
Yeah, absolutely. And you look at drivers and fans. Those 2 events. Were not hurt by running against each other. And then, you throw the curveball in there with, Tazewell ran as well with Ironman Super Late Model Series. and they ran 21,000 to win down there. Yet again, the cars fans not really affected. So it worked out perfect, and all three events were jam packed with fans and cars, and everybody was successful, and that's the way we want it to be.
Yeah, Brian says Florence Speedway 10,000 to win. That's another one. Yeah, I mean Florence, being up there. This is the last race before the North South 100 for super late models to take the track up there at Florence Speedway. So forgot about that one coming up on Saturday night as well. Didn't mean to leave those out. Hey, sometimes you got to help us out a little bit here on the podcast. We do the best we can, but I was about 3 minutes late getting prepared for this thing, getting everything finished up, getting on here. So, but yeah, a big one coming up there. But again, next Wednesday night, I want to push this, Wes. I want them to have a record-breaking number of people on here for ladies' night on Dirt Racing and the Bluegrass Live. They'll be laughing at us. There'll be so many people on here next Wednesday night. Sarah Chastain hosting. I don't know if you had a chance to talk to Sherry yet. If she can come on, what's the final verdict on that?
I think she's going to try to. We'll see how everything works out with her school and work schedule, but I think she's going to try to come on as well. So I think it's a great idea. I really do. I think it's going to be awesome.
Well, I think so too, and really looking forward to just sitting back and watching, and maybe, I don't know, possibly even laughing at my wife as she tries to outdo me as the host of Dirt Racing and the Bluegrass Live, and your wife as she tries to outdo you as host of Dirt Racing and the Bluegrass Live. So we will see. Well, something brand new, guys, here on the podcast tonight that I want to do. We've got so many people. Wes, we've talked about this over and over. I mean, we started out here August of last year, very first show, not World 100, North South 100 preview. And we were so excited about it, and we were hiding behind the screen. We weren't even on video. I was nervous as all get out. You were nervous as all get out. I think we had like 15 people on this thing to start the thing. We're above that now. Things have grown a little bit, and we're thankful for all of our fans and viewers and everybody that sticks with us. But, man, there's been some that's been one of those 15 that's been with us from the beginning and loyal and just big fans of dirt racing overall. So we want to recognize every month here on the podcast a local dirt racing fan here in the state of Kentucky. So that's one of our goals. We talk about it. This whole thing wouldn't be possible if it weren't for our tracks, owners, promoters, workers, fans, drivers, crews, everybody that makes up a big part of this. So we want to recognize a local dirt racing fan once a month here on the podcast. So this month, the month of July, the fan of the month, Wes, is none other than our good buddy, Michael Gadd, Dirt Racing and the Bluegrass Live Fan of the Month. Michael Gadd, there he is with the Winfield Warrior, Mike Marlar. But Wes, I mean, Michael Gadd is one of those guys who's absolutely been with us from the very beginning, encouraging, supporting, always on the. I don't know if he's missed a show yet. I don't know if he ever misses a race, but he is the fan of the month, and maybe the fan of all time. You could put him right up there.
He's absolutely the fan of the month, but as you said, I mean, he's been one of our biggest supporters. We see him all over the country. It don't matter if we're racing in Tennessee or if we're racing in one of our tracks in Kentucky. If he can be there, he's there. And just a huge fan of dirt racing in general, but he has been there with us since day one. So congratulations, Michael.
Yes, absolutely. Angie says, "Excuse me, Angie. Girls' night is next week. Okay,
Yeah.
give us a break. We've got plans in store here. Girls' night is next week. But so many. It's really true. But yeah, Michael Gadd this month is going to be our fan of the month. Angie, don't get upset with us. If you do, take it out on Wes the next time you see him at the racetrack. But yeah,
I
Michael
knew
Gadd.
I knew she'd get upset. I had a
Yeah,
feeling, but you know
yeah.
what? You can't win them all.
Well, like I said,
You'll.
just take it out on Wes the next time you see him at the racetrack, and it'll be all good. But yeah, Michael, you've won a free pit admission to the next race, July 15th, coming up. I think it is, yeah, Tommy Lana Memorial, Rockcastle Speedway, free pit pass there at Rockcastle Speedway, as part of this fan of the month, just special for you, man. It's just we're gonna give you a free pit pass to Rockcastle Speedway. And as you know, Michael works there at Rockcastle, so I'm pretty sure he gets in free anyway. So, yeah, there you go.
I just wanted to throw one in real. Michael helped me out a bunch of. That guy is always willing to go the extra mile to help folks out. I'm notorious for setting little GoPros down all over the place. And at the end of the night, this body gets pretty tired. And just last time I was at Rockcastle, I had a couple on the backstretch and one right down at ground level, right where the cars come onto the track. And, he saved me about 500 steps because he took them and carried them to the pit shack for me. So at the end of the night, I was able to just go there and pick the stuff up. So he's one of these guys that go above and beyond. Any little thing you ask him, he helps take care of.
Yeah, he's a good one.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that we appreciate and we need in the dirt racing community. And there's so many of you out there. I promise you, just like the drivers, we've got so many. We're going to get to you. I promise you. A fan of the month, drivers on the podcast. We're going to get to you eventually. This thing ain't going anywhere anytime soon. So, but Michael Gadd, thank you for your support and watching, encouraging everything you do. The Rockcastle. If you go to a racetrack somewhere in Kentucky, Michael Gadd's going to be there every weekend, and just with a smile on his face and happy to be there. So he is our fan of the month. Well, let's go ahead, guys. We need to get right to it. I'm telling you, an awesome weekend this past weekend, 4th of July weekend. Unfortunately, Rockcastle had to postpone the Tommy Lana Memorial. That was the only one. Man, the only bad thing about it was a rainy weekend. It was like iffy everywhere you went. But despite the weather, it turned out to be just a great weekend overall. And I'll start. I went to Thunder Mountain Speedway this past Saturday night. Jeff, you were there on Friday night. I was able to be there on Saturday night. Well, the highlight of my weekend, to be honest with you, for the first time ever, they were brave enough to let me on the PA for Victory Lane interviews. So that was fun, man. It's kind of one of those things that I've, to be honest with you, I know a lot of people would not want to do that whatsoever, but I've always kind of wanted to do that. So that was a lot of fun. Jared Dickey started out. He did Dustin Linville's interview of the pro late models, and then eventually he said, Josh, I'm just going to let you hold both microphones next time. If you don't care, you can just do them both. So got to take over from there, and that was a lot of fun. I look forward to doing more of that in the future. I love talking to those drivers and sort of being able to get to be a part of, even in our interviews when we're only doing them on Facebook Live, Wes. You know what I'm talking about? Just getting to be a part of that experience there in Victory Lane, that winning experience, because I know how hard these guys work and just how much they want that moment and how much that moment right there means to them.
Yeah, it's special for them, but it's special for us as well to be a part of that, and especially like we've talked several times, especially when it's that driver's first feature win and the first time they're in Victory Lane, you just get chill bumps, while you're interviewing them and talking to them, and just, I mean, they're lit up, their faces is smiling ear to ear, and they look like a kid on Christmas morning. And it's just something about driver interviews in Victory Lane. It's just really cool.
Well, I know for me personally, that's one thing I wish I had a crystal ball, because I like capturing those moments. Like guys' first win, I like to be there and catch it. And what bothered me a little bit is like Adrian Smith won down at Lake Cumberland now this last race, and I missed it. And this is a guy I see the videos all the time and stuff like that. And I would have loved to have been there for that one, and I'm not getting it. And it's hard, when you're getting around all the different tracks and missing them. Right away, I'm looking at the winners list from these other places. I'm like, oh man, I should have been there for that one, And it doesn't matter where you go, you're always gonna miss one. But it's really cool to see first time winners, and I'd like to be able to provide them with those memories by having that video out there.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's one of those things too, guys, as a fan, because I think really when it comes down to it, and that's one of the things that I like about this podcast. I said from the beginning, Wes, like, I want this to come across as just what it is, just some fans, sort of gathered around talking about racing, because it's what we love to talk about and what we love to do. But yeah, I mean, I think as a fan, we want to see that and hear that moment too. Like, that's something that's important. And I think for any track, and I know there's times where you've got to cut stuff and you've got to take something out, but I think that's one of the last things that should ever be taken out, because as a race fan, I feel like it sort of encapsulates the whole thing that you just saw right there, and you're waiting to hear that interview and see that driver and hear what he's got to say. It's just such an important part of a program. Yeah. And I think it's one of those things that tracks should always, take that into consideration. It's part of what we come to see as fans and drivers, I think.
Yeah, and Sachse, you hit the nail on the head. I was there Saturday night for Adrian Smith Jr.'s win, and he's like, I've won other races for more money, but to finally get one at Lake Cumberland Speedway, he said, this win right here means so much to me, and it's something that he had been working hard for, and he drove a heck of a race. And just to be able to capture that and talk to him and interview him after the win in Victory Lane, it's a special moment.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's one of those things too, man. Like, I'm just so glad that we're able to not only catch that live at the track. Caution says you need to interview all winners, all tracks. Whether that's at the racetrack or even putting it on Dirt Racing in the Bluegrass Live for the world to see, right? Worldwide West. Right. It's something that's important for these drivers, for the fans to be able to get to know who they are, and just sort of experience a moment, to connect with them, understanding like how hard they work and what that moment means for them, not just in the winner's circle, but then also, with our pit walk and being able to talk to drivers on the pit walk, and all that stuff is about connecting our drivers with fans locally, because that's something else I'll tell you. I was blown away on Saturday night when, the late models finished up, and then I interviewed Brian Nance, won the modified feature, and then it just kept going and going. And you know what was so cool is that the fans were there through the front wheel drive feature.
Absolutely.
And that's something that excites me so much, because that hasn't always been the case here, I don't feel like, in Kentucky, as much as it is now.
Well, one of the things that, as far as what I'm capturing on video, is about a year and a half, I think it was about 2 years ago, Ponderosa one night, I was tired. I decided to leave before the four-cylinder race. And I got in my car and got down the road, and I got to the train tracks there in Junction City. Guess what? Train's going through. Might as well have stayed at the track. And you hear the cars in the distance, and all of a sudden the car stopped. And I thought, it must have been a caution. Well, the rate, I never heard the cars fire back up again. I'm like, they must have went green the checkered or something. When I got home and found out they did. I mean, they had a great race. It was green the checkered. It was over in 6 minutes. I should have stayed. And I found out it was a really good race. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna, I'm here. I'm going to be a little tired the next day. I'm going to stick around and start watching these races at the end of the night. So I started making sure I'm there for the hobby stocks and for the four cylinders and everything else at the end of the night. And often, they're some of the best racing of the whole evening. And so now I think maybe after people have seen some of this stuff, they realize, hey, I'm going home and I'm missing a good part of this show.
Yeah.
And so yeah, stick around to the end, because once in a while you'd be surprised. Them support classes can really put on a dandy show once in a while.
Yeah. So two things I wanna bring up from that. So just like you said, Josh, at Lake Cumberland on Monday night, the fans were still there when Adrian Smith Jr. took the checkered in the hobby stock race. That was the last feature of the night. The fans were still there. And as great a night of racing as it was, that last feature was probably that modified race was really good between Blake and Cole Falloway. But the hobby stock race, those top three cars, you could have put a blanket over them. You had AJ, Roman Wesley, and David Marler beating and banging, white flag, and then coming to the checker, just an excellent race. And it's like, if some people left after the modified feature or after the, crate late model feature, then they missed, two more really good shows with the super stock race and then the hobby stock. So stay to the end. I mean, watch the front wheel drive, watch the hobby stocks, watch the super stocks, watch them all, because you're missing some really good racing by leaving early.
Yep. And I think a lot of the credit for that has to go to our racetracks too, because of their commitment to that, highlighting that. There's just a lot of really good things happening here locally in our dirt racing community that over the last couple of years I feel like has led to that, and it's just it's so awesome to see, because I see several people commenting here. I mean, those support classes, man, are just, it's just really good racing. And it was that way. You talked about Lake Cumberland. It was that way at Thunder Mountain on Saturday night. Awesome fireworks show there. We're going to go into detail on all these events, but awesome fireworks show. I'm telling you, Wes, I'm telling you, you couldn't have went to the, I live in my address is Richmond. I live closer to Berea. You couldn't have went to the Berea City Park last night and seen a better fireworks show. Richmond, Lake Rebel, wherever you wanted to go, and seen a better fireworks show than Thunder Mountain had on Saturday night. Just awesome. Like, it was worth the price of admission. And I would say anyone in that community next year, if you weren't there, just go for, if you don't even care about racing, just go for the fireworks show. It was really good. And then just in every single class, I finished the night there, and I told you, and I'm telling you it was the truth, every single class from beginning to end. I don't know if a pole sitter, I was just trying to recall in my mind, I don't know if a pole sitter of a feature won a race there on Saturday night. I know Linville started second. Brian Nance, I believe, started fourth. Just down, David Marler, I know he didn't start on the pole. I don't know, and that tells you it was a really good race. And so, a lot of fun there at Thunder Mountain. So kudos to them, and appreciate their support, hospitality. They, everything there. It was just a whole lot of fun on Saturday night. Racing was great. In every class. And then at Mud Lick, you two guys, like I said, Jeff, you went to Thunder Mountain on Friday night as well. Caught some video there. You can check that out on Racing Rumble. But then on Monday night, Jeff, you had the chance to head over to Mud Lick Valley Raceway for the first time this year for their big 5,000 to win super late model race. Tell us about that. You've got it on video as well, but tell us about it.
I had never seen that place that well. I don't go often. Mudlick is a really cool place. It's a little further than some of the other tracks that I go to. I had been invited there a couple times by the previous promoters and some of the promotional teams, but I had not seen the track since the Gent family took it over. So I'm trying to figure out, when can I get up there? And originally my plan was to do the Sunday at Lake Cumberland, obviously, and then get up to Mudlick. So I called Mudlick and got the media passes and whatever I need to do to get in there. And all of a sudden, Lake Cumberland rains out. And I'm like, oh, man, this is a coin toss. And I'm like, well, I made the commitment. I'm going to go up to Mud Lick. I want to see this place. I mean, I know they've done a lot of work up there. And I got up there. I was just amazed how they transformed the track.
Yeah.
Nice 3/8 mile now, guardrail all around the track, new lighting, PA system. You can actually hear. I mean, you can actually hear it now. All these improvements. I mean, they've done a ton of work up there. I know they're still working on their racing program part of it. And this special was just, it was huge. I think it surprised everybody, including them. You know, once again, we got a racetrack where they're actually having the park haulers in the fan area because they're out of pit space. That's wonderful to see in this day and age.
Yeah, it is.
And they started 25 cars in the super late model feature, 25 or 26 in the modified feature, 24 in the sport modified feature, and that's pretty exciting when you get that many cars out there for a green flag.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I can't catch all this action. Just go where you think the pileup's going to be. And for the most part, they didn't have the big Talladega thing happening too much, but man, it was some really exciting racing they had up there, and like I said, I never seen that place packed like that. They're working out some kinks yet. I mean, it went a little late, but for the folks that stayed and saw the racing, they got their money's worth. It was, and like you were saying, the support classes had some excellent shows. Sport modified, the lead happened on the final lap. In the 4-cylinder race, the lead happened on the final lap. The pass for the win. So you go that kind of racing going on, it gets people to want to come back. So yeah, it was wonderful. And the other thing, the lighting is so much different. You can actually, if you had been to Mud Lick before, I mean, it was great that the Toller family got the track back opened up and the whole ball of wax. And I know they were working on things. Progress just got a little slow as time went on. At the front stretch at Mud Lick previously, you could not see the cars when they come down the front stretch. And it was dark in spots where they kind of disappear. Now they raised the track up a little bit. The seating is just a little bit higher. They rearranged things. You can see the cars all the way around the track. And the lighting, they don't disappear. It's not like they're going into these little black holes all over the place. You can actually see the cars. So I'm like, they've done a lot of work. And, so it's neat to see. Everybody's on Saturday. I wish I could get up there more often. I'll probably try to get up there at least once yet this year because I want to see one of the regular shows is what I want to see. And but yeah, it's neat. If you haven't been there, if you've been there 5 years ago, go back, see it again. I think you're going to be impressed with the changes that have taken place.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. Because I'm like you. I was amazed. My trip over there earlier this year, just the changes in a short amount of time. Like those are the kind of things you hear about over a few years span, and they did it all in one off season. Renewed the lighting, the track configuration, the surface, the stands, and a PA system, all this stuff. One thing about that I noticed in your videos, Jeff, that I thought was really cool, and I don't mean this as a knock, I mean like this reality. I thought it was really cool. The announcer sounds like someone you would hear in like an old Pennsboro video from back in the 80s. Like it's just old school and really cool. Like I mean that it's really, really neat to hear because a lot of times like announcers sort of like seem to have this same sort of voice, and then they seem to have that same sort of voice way back when, but he's really good. But it reminds me of like history, and I love it.
The other announcer, I don't know if he's the same guy. The other announcer that's like that, and I only got there once, is Cedar Ridge, way over on the western part of the state. I'm like, it's definitely different, and it was, and I noticed right away too. My wife said, "This is a different kind of announcing style." I'm like, "Yeah, it is," and it was, and like you said, it was pretty neat. It's something a little different.
Yeah, but good racing too. I mean, you talked about starting 25 cars in the late model feature, 20 plus cars, and pretty much every other class. And like I said, I wasn't able to be there, but I watched your videos and just it was good racing. I mean, racy track surface. That place seems, seeing it on videos and the night I went, it just seemed it's fast too. So
it is deceptively fast. It is really a quick track. I think once they get to a point where they maybe put down a little new clay or whatever, it might cut the dust down just a little bit more. But it was multi-groove. I mean, they could run high, they could run low, and they're sailing. They kept the banking. The track's a little shorter, but the banking is still there, and them guys are just sailing. And I mean, the super late's got to be doing 120 down the backstretch going into 3 and 4, and there's a different sound. I mean, when you go to Florence, you got when they're coming down the straightaway and they're throttle wide open for like 5-6 seconds like that. It's got that that sound, and that's how they are at Maglet. So it's really neat. And like I said, over a period of time, I'm more power to them. If they keep putting on racing like that, they're going to be around.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I agree with you. Wes, you were last but certainly not least, you were at Lake Cumberland Speedway on what ended up being Monday night. It was supposed to be on Sunday night. It ended up getting moved to Monday night with the weather on Sunday for the first time ever Summer Nationals. Love to see it. Summer Nationals, the Hell Tour at Lake Cumberland.
Yeah, Lake Cumberland had a different feel to it because of having, the dirt car and dirt vision, and having Summer Nationals Hell Tour there was just awesome. And history was made several times throughout the night, but especially with them being there for the first time was just awesome. And I hope it's already in the works that they will be coming back next year and years to come and being at Lake Cumberland Speedway, because it was just really cool to see that series come to town. And on a Monday night, it was great. As I've mentioned earlier, the crowd, people just kept coming in. The pits were full of fans. The grandstands were full of fans. I showed it several times in my videos and pictures. And just an awesome night of racing. Ashton Winger ended up winning the Super Late Model portion of the show. He passed Tyler Clem, and just an awesome show. Clem was running really hard, was fast all night, and really thought there for a little while that he was going to get the victory, but ended up he wasn't able to fend off Ashton, and so Winger gets the win there. Just really cool to see a lot of those guys there, and it to be the first time that they was at Lake Cumberland Speedway. So really cool deal there. Then Blake Brown ends up winning the open wheel modifieds. So his first Summit Equipment Summer Nationals open wheel modified series win. Really cool. Great race between him and Cole Falloway. Just an
I keep appearing and reappearing, Wes. Are you able to hear me?
I can hear you now.
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, all right. I've come and gone a couple of times here on my screen. Internet connection issues here. I'm out in the country in Madison County where, unlike every other place around us, you can't get high-speed internet, and using a mobile hotspot in my shop here in the window where hopefully it will work well. We got all the way through the last show and it worked good, so I'm glad everybody else was able to get through that. I was like coming and going and you guys were freezing, so I missed most of what you said, Wes, but that, as long as everyone else caught it, that's okay. I can deal with missing it.
Yeah, I can tell you after the show.
Yeah,
I just want to make sure everybody else hears it.
That sounds good. So did you get through everything you wanted to say about Lake Cumberland? That's the important thing, because it was a huge night there.
No, okay. I'm only in the modifieds.
Well, good. Keep going. I didn't mean to cut you off. All right,
well, you did. On. You just freeze over there in your shop, and you got that constipated look on your face right now. But anyway, you just stay over there and let me finish my program about the awesome night I had at Lake Cumberland Speedway.
You go right ahead, buddy. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine. You're fine. But just an awesome night for Blake Brown and his team. And I know they've worked hard and had a great year. But that last night or Monday night, I'm sorry, was just really cool to see him get the win, and just such a stout field of open wheel modifieds. So that was really cool. Skylar Marler won the crate race. Yet again, another stacked field. Skylar has looked really good the last couple nights out in that 257 crate late model, and he was able to get the win. Super Stocks, yet again, another great field of cars. Chase McCorder was able to win that race, and I know he's had his issues, ups and downs throughout the year, mechanical issues, and he's been fast, and then little things would happen, but run just an awesome race last on Monday night, and was able to pick up the win. And then, as we mentioned earlier, really, really cool deal to see Adrian Smith Jr. pick up the win in the hobby stocks. Just so cool. I mean, he was just ecstatic when he got out of the car. And
my favorite thing about both of Smith, TJ and Adrian, it just goes to show you don't need a fancy wrap to go fast.
That's exactly right.
That duct tape really goes.
Yeah, he was flying, and the racing, and I know we've mentioned it time and time again. It don't matter where these hobby stocks show up; they put on a heck of a show. The racing is super competitive, and it don't matter who shows up. You don't know who's gonna come out of there and get the win, because there's that many really good cars throughout the field every night that they show up. So just congratulations to him on getting his first feature win there at Lake Cumberland, and well deserved, because he drove a heck of a race and had two veterans behind him. So just a big win.
Yeah, well, awesome night there. I was able to catch all of your coverage, Wes, because I was in Tennessee on a little short family trip, and so I was able to watch everything that you were doing and take in all the selfies and everything else that you had going on there at Lake Cumberland. But it looked like a lot of fun. I knew it would be. Lake Cumberland Speedway, always a great place to take in a race, and then you throw Summer Nationals on top of that, modifieds and late models. Hate that I had to miss it. I mean I really do, but unfortunately, like I said, we had planned a trip there with the family to Tennessee, and you were flying solo there. You you did a great job too, by the way. No microphone, no nothing. You just made it work, buddy. I thought you did a great job.
Well, I was thinking about that. I need to take the old cord mic. Now that we've got the high-tech new mics, you keep the new mics with you, and I'll take the old ones just in case we have this situation again. I don't like when it happens, but I do like what I've pegged Sherry as the first lady of dirt racing since I'm Worldwide West. So
yeah,
I had her with me, and I'm telling you, Monday was crazy. I worked all day Monday. She worked all night on Sunday night. Got home. She drove to Louisville, went to class all day in Louisville. Got home. We got home about the same time, changed clothes, and drove straight to Burnside as hard as we could go. I mean, that's just typical us, but we wouldn't have it any other way, and just had a great night at Lake Speedway.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And I do think it would be a good idea for you to take the old cordless mic as well, because less technology, less things that can go wrong, and I think that's probably the best idea for you. If I had to guess, I do think that would probably be the cord. I mean, all you do is you plug it into your phone, so it'd probably be a good place to start. And then eventually maybe we could work our way up to the wireless system, the new technology thing that we have right now.
No, I don't want the new ones. I'll take the cord that I plug into my cell phone. I'll be good. That's all I need.
He don't have a cell phone yet, does he?
He just graduated. He just got an iPhone a couple of weeks ago. Before that, he had like a BlackBerry, I think it was.
There you go.
I never had no BlackBerry.
Nokia.
Yeah.
My flip phone.
Well, caution keeps that. He wants to know, can you play the piano in the background? We went over this last week. That is, I believe, where you're spending most of your time practicing for what was supposed to be the Tommy Lanham Memorial this weekend, but it's now going to be next weekend. So, I mean, I don't know if you can play it now, but you probably have been spending some time on that piano, I imagine.
Yeah, if I can squeeze a little practice in between all of my working and my racing and my fishing, but if somebody, I may have to have somebody play the piano for me. I can sing. I'm still working on learning to play the piano. My mom tried to teach me many, many years ago, and that just didn't work out. So,
well, you keep going. By the way, that is the brand new house Wes Lanham purchased with all the money he's made from dirt racing and the Bluegrass Live. So very nice place there. While I'm in my outhouse here in Richmond. So so there you go. Well, guys and girls, for tonight, stick with us here on Dirt Racing and the Bluegrass Live. We're going to come back. We'll take a commercial break. We'll come back. We've got a lot to get to, including new tracks opening, news being broke here within the week. We're going to talk about that and talk about the challenges or the benefits or wherever that might end up being in the whole scheme of things around here. But new tracks coming, or one that was closed and one that closed and now coming back, and then a brand new one, it sounds like. I've also heard the possibility of another one in Central Kentucky. Not really sure where that stands. We'll talk about all that when we come back, plus Live's Top 5, and we'll talk about the weekend outlook and the next couple of weeks that we have ahead. So stick with us. We'll be back here in just a few minutes.
Racetrack Connection is a social media app designed specifically for racing. On the app, you can find a track, find a driver, review and print track schedules, and use the chat feature to communicate with other fans and drivers at any event. There's even a map feature where you can locate racetracks all across the U.S., plus many other features, all for free. Download the Racetrack Connection app today. Donnie Kaufman used to say, "It's good enough to make your tongue slap your brains out, honey." That's what we think about the home cooking at Smokehouse Grill and Buffet in Berea. Choose from the delicious options on their home-style buffet and salad bar, or order from the full menu. Not to mention their desserts and some of the best breakfast you'll ever eat. We promise you'll never be disappointed with this racing family-owned business. Visit their friendly staff and grab a bite to eat. Located just off exit 77 in Berea.
Hi there, I'm Alan Feldhouse Jr., head basketball coach at Madison Central High School. Here at MCHS, we have built a winning team. I'd like to tell you about another local winning team, family-owned and operated Bluegrass Restoration and Construction. They specialize in roofing, general construction, and home maintenance services. Just like on the court, you need a team that will work together to get the job done, and that's exactly what BRC does. Give them a call at 859-353-1133. Road Tribe.
And welcome back to the Bluegrass Restoration and Construction Studios. Sarah, who will be the guest host next week here on Ladies Night, or whatever we're going to call it next week when the ladies take over Dirt Racing and the Bluegrass Live, tells me that I look blurry. Well, that's, I try to do it from home rather than going to the office, and this is what you get. It's not going to hurt anybody to see my face being blurry anyway, so it'll be just fine. But welcome back to the Bluegrass Restoration and Construction Studios. That is one thing that I meant to mention as well, Wes, earlier. Brand new here with Dirt Racing and the Bluegrass, we have a presenting sponsor for our live coverage of our races. And that is also Bluegrass Restoration and Construction, so we appreciate them for their support. Our live coverage has done better, to be honest with you, than I ever thought it would, and it's been a big and I think important part of our podcast. It's been a lot of fun, so we really appreciate them coming on board and helping us out with that as well. But let's go ahead. We said earlier we're going to have a hot topic each and every week. I can't think of a better hot topic this week, guys, than brand new racetracks coming back. Racetracks. We'll start the news this past week. 191 Speedway has been acquired and it's coming back. I think we talked about this before, right here I'm talking very central Kentucky. You have like 5 tracks, and now we're gonna make it 6. 191 Speedway, an awesome place. I think it's a great thing. Good to see it coming back. I think one thing it shows us is that local dirt track racing is alive and well. Like I said, big news, and really looking forward to seeing how that plays out when they open, and getting everything going back again over there at 191 Speedway.
Yeah, me too. I was excited to hear the news, and that's a track I've never been to. So definitely one that I want to see come back better than ever, and make a trip over there to see. I've watched, heard a lot about the track, but never made it over to watch one. So looking forward to that.
One of the interesting things is when I first moved down to Kentucky, when I wanted to find out where all the racetracks were, I found the ones that were open right away. And then I started looking up. I'm like, well, hey, this one's closed, this one's closed, this one's closed. I wonder what kind of condition they're in. So my wife and I jump in a car on weekends and we drive around to these racetracks. Some you couldn't really see anymore. Got to 191, and there was a sign out front, but there were horses grazing an electric fence between me and where the racetrack was. So I elected not to go in there. But it's kind of like, you could see that it had been closed for a few years. I guess it's been closed like 8, the way I've been able to figure it out. And that was one where I'm like, I don't know if this will ever reopen. So all of a sudden, I'm just at night, I get bored and I start looking for stuff. And all of a sudden, this popped up. 191 Speedway announcement going to be made. I'm like, what? This can't be real. Sure enough, next morning, there's the announcement being made. I drove by 201 and actually got in there and looked around. And when I had went there a couple of years ago, it looked like the property was still being maintained. I thought that was one that was possibly going to reopen. And my wife trespassed first, and I followed her into the tree. And I just had my camcorder with me. So yeah, some of these tracks are really neat to be able to. It's so weird when you go to a racetrack that's closed, you get that eerie feeling. It's like there was so much fun and excitement here a long time ago. And what would it be like to be able to have been there at the time? And now with 191, I guess we're probably going to have a chance to experience that if they get those gates open. So we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I was able to experience, because early on when we were doing dirt racing in the bluegrass before, of course, this was before the age of live video. It didn't exist, so we were going to these different tracks and doing live updates from the track, and had a lot of fun there at 191 Speedway. Did some of my first interviews there. Of course, then it was like audio only and uploaded the next day, and couldn't do all this fun stuff that we're doing before. But it's a fun little bull ring type track. I think like the year before it closed, they did some reconfiguration to one of the corners in the track that kind of the driver feedback that I was hearing was that it wasn't as good at the time. So I'm not sure what they'll decide to do with that or not. I'm not really sure. I mean, I can't speak, as I never saw it after that happened. So I don't know. But it was a great place. Had a huge fan following over there. I mean, and I think it'll be a good thing. I mean, it was great back then. Like I said, it was kind of like you had your fans on a hill, and it was always packed up there, and really a cool little place. Like I said, bull ring, walls all around it, kind of banked, and it was a fun place. So enjoyed going there. And I'm sure they'll get it going, and it'll be a fun place once again. I agree with you, Jeff. Just cool. Anytime you see a track that's been shut down and it comes back, it's just always great to see. So
here's
really looking forward to it.
Here's the thing, though, and this is what I'm hoping for. Please, for the love of God, be on a Friday or a Sunday. We do not. I'm sorry, but we do not need any more Saturday night tracks in this part of the state. If they do, they do. I mean, I don't own the track. We don't own the track, obviously. But, man, it sure be nice to be able to go someplace other than a Saturday night and to have to always make a choice between 3 or 4 places. So, hopefully, what night of the week did they used to run? They used to run Friday, didn't they?
I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was a Saturday night track
There
before,
was a
but
Saturday night track.
I also remember a time back when it was open before. I'll say this too: when it was open before, at that time, it was like right around the time of, like 2008. The economy was in a shift there, and in this general area, like right here, at that time the Yance family were operating Richmond, and you had Richmond and 191. That was it. Rockcastle was asphalt. Lake Cumberland wasn't running at that particular time period. Thunder Mountain wasn't there yet. So at that time you just had a couple of tracks, whereas now you've got what will be, I don't know, 6. And I agree with you. I think scheduling is already complicated as it is. We hear about it all the time. It's the topic. It's a topic on social media all the time. It's tough as it is. So I don't know what they'll decide to do, but it does add to that whole scenario. And it's like, man, if we keep adding to that, that's hard.
There is one thing that you mentioned though, that it is exciting to see that, because you had mentioned that Lake Cumberland was closed and these other tracks were closed. Look at how they've come back and they've been thriving in such a short period of time. I mean, yeah. I didn't even realize Lake Cumberland was closed 5-6 years ago. I mean, the place is just rocking every Saturday night. So yeah, racing can be really successful, but I think we're getting to the point where we're starting to split hairs just a little too thin. And I want to see it open up and be successful. But fundamentally, I think somewhere down the line, there's got to be a little shift toward maybe looking at some other race nights other than Saturday, because I don't want to see – we're not gaining anything if one opens and 2 closes, or one opens and 1 closes. We're just not gaining anything. We're just pushing the poker chips to different sides of the table. Yeah. So hopefully, as these things get opened up, they can figure out the way to make things work on some other race night. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's something we've talked about before too. Understanding the struggle with Friday nights or Sunday, whatever, off non-Saturday racing. Okay, we'll just put it at that. Whether it's on a Friday night or a Sunday or whatever that might be, it's tough, but with a commitment. And I think, Jeff, that's something you and I have talked about, doing some different things, some things that maybe we're not accustomed to around here. You're from Wisconsin, where people race, so it seems like, from talking to you, every night of the week, and it's successful, and it's in some ways that we don't even think about here.
It's just different. I thought about it a little bit today as I was having a conversation with somebody on Facebook when I should have been working about the differences between the racing in Kentucky and the racing in Wisconsin. The racing in Kentucky is, if I would look at it, it's more, everybody treats it like a sport. It is. I mean, not saying auto racing isn't a sport, but short track racing, to me, fundamentally, when you think about it, is entertainment. And the most important thing to do to get people new to the racetrack is to entertain. And there are ways that can happen that aren't being utilized down here, only because I don't think people are familiar with it. So I think blending some of the motorsports, we're a motorsports type state, along with some of the entertainment value from Wisconsin, can really make for some pretty exciting race programs. And there are all different kinds of ideas on how to make that happen. Jokingly, when I went to my garage today, this little thing here is something I like to call my white book. And what this is I went to promoters workshops for 20 years, 18 to 20 years. And every time they would have sessions on how you can operate a racetrack successfully. And this is just a book of all little novelty events. It doesn't cost anything to do. They're just little ideas that you can get people to the racetrack to enjoy. So I went out to the garage today and kicked the spiders out of it before I brought it in the house. And I'm like, you know what? I haven't seen any of these things taking place down here, and they're just unique little things you can do. And I tell you what, Josh, you pick a number between 1 and 60. There's about 60 pages in this book. Just a random number between 1 and 60. I'm going to pull that page out, and I'll talk about it a little bit.
Random number. Let's see. Let's go with I don't know, Wes. What do you think? Maybe like J5 or something. Is there a J5? No, that probably does. Well, let's just go with 5 then. So be it. Let's just
in front of the book. So this will probably be an older one from one of the first workshops. Oh, that one's a folder. Oh, I know what this one is.
You didn't go high enough to do 191. So we'll stick with that. Or
oh, this is interesting. What this is an idea for intermission. Right now, when intermissions take place down here, what you have happen, the heat races get done. And then there's usually about 20 to 30 minutes worth of downtime. There's really not too much going on. The announcers aren't really usually talking. There's nothing really taking place on the racetrack usually. Now, some nights there are. Like they got that fan appreciation night coming up at Lake Cumberland this week. There's going to be cars out there and fans meet the driver's whole ball of wax. That's fun. But on nights when there ain't, there's this. Have you ever heard of a crapper race?
No. A crapper race. No, that sounds like a whole lot of fun. That sounds like something else I want Wes to take part in. Though.
And this is inexpensive. This is inexpensive to do, but kind of interesting to plan. We all know what a porta-john is, right? And we have racetracks rent porta-johns.
Are we putting Wes in a porta-john? That's all I want to know.
So let's pretend we're at Rock Castle, and we got the heat races done, and we got about 20 minutes to play with. What are we going to do? Well, let's entertain the fans a little bit for 20 minutes. You need 2 porta-johns, one at each end. Yeah, that would work. One at each end of the pits on the front stretch. One in turn 4 and one in turn 1. And then you find 5 drivers with a lot of personality, and I can think of a few that would. Tyler Kelly would be good for something like this.
Yeah.
So what you do is you get a couple 4-cylinder guys, you have them come out to the front stretch in their cars, wearing a helmet because you got to get in and out of the car. And what you do is you got that first porta-john up in turn number 4. So they drive up to that first one, jump out of the car, and you start a stopwatch. The driver runs to the porta-john. He goes into porta-john. He pulls out a roll of toilet paper, jumps back in his race car, drives down the track, stops at the second one, goes back in the porta-john, pulls out a second roll, and you time him. Who's the fastest guy doing that? You're doing something different. It's a crapper race. You got 20 minutes of sitting around, you got 20 minutes of watching these guys do foolishness. And it's just one of the things you get people talking, hey, this is something different, never seen it. And next year it's like, when are they going to have that crapper race? That was pretty silly, it was pretty stupid, but I want to see it again. And that's just one of 80 ideas in that book. And if somebody does something like that, hey, who knows? Maybe somebody hears about it, go to the racetrack. Plus, you sell advertising. You get a plumber to sponsor that race night. You get anything related to number 2, you sell them for a sponsor that race night. And it was successful. We did it at Oshkosh Speed Zone a couple nights, and it was a lot of fun. We even generated controversy one night. We had a guy stuff a couple toilet paper rolls in his driver's suit, and we had our tech official catch him and disqualify him because he had toilet paper. So,
because race car drivers are that way. Leave it to the race car drivers to make it competitive with the crapper races. I mean, imagine that. No, I mean, I think it's a great idea. You could get drivers involved in that. Man, that would be a lot of fun.
And it's fun. It's all those little things, and that's what I mean by saying you can have the motorsports aspect of it too, but you got to entertain. You got to do something different. And every track has got the ability to do that. And I was jokingly telling somebody today, I not even jokingly, without spending money, there are ways to put 1,000 people in them grandstands every single week by doing little stuff like that, because those are the kind of things that'll say, hey, I got a unique experience at this racetrack tonight. And that's just one idea. Want to hear another one? Have me come back in a couple weeks.
He's got to
take another page.
Right here, look. Greg Miller has already challenged the Minion Man, Greg Hensley, to the first annual
crapper
race in the Super Stocks. There it is.
And
I love it.
That would be fun. And what actually is happening is it's a kind of a guide, because your track officials, your main ones, need a little time to use the restroom, decompress for a few minutes, whole ball of wax. And so while these racing or these novelty events going on, you get a few minutes, 15 minutes where the officials are actually down. Now you got everything lined up in the chute and ready to roll out there. You're not calling super late models to the line, 10-minute call, 9-minute call, 8-minute call, and then you're still waiting 15 minutes after the fact. So those kind of things keep people entertained throughout the entire 3.5, 4 hours they're there. And that's just one very small part of it. There are so many other moving pieces. The hardest job in the world, honestly, is racing promoter. And why people do it, I have no idea.
Yeah.
I really don't.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean.
So,
But I do agree with something that you said as well, and that is earlier I think I saw this on a comment something, and we've talked about this before as well, Wes. I mean, I believe, and I truly believe this, with commitment, with things like this, ideas like this, finding new ways to entertain people, drawing people to the racetrack doesn't necessarily, I don't believe it takes having a 10,000 to win late model race every week. Maybe it's unique things like that. But I do believe there's a scenario where a track can build a local following of fans and drivers and do it in ways where it's affordable and it makes sense for a race promoter, because at the end of the day, they need to build a following and they need to make money. And that's important as well, because this sport's costly, it's time-consuming, it's hard work, and these people deserve it. But I do believe there's a scenario where each one of these racetracks can, with a commitment, build their own following. We're starting to see it already, to where this whole scheduling thing that we're talking about is not even an issue because everybody is succeeding. And that's, at the end of the day, what we all want to see.
Exactly.
Yep. And that's the goal. I want to see all these tracks open. And like I said, each track, just a couple of these ideas. And it can make all the difference. If you can get 1,000 people there every week for a show, people are making money. You're doing well. If you can get 1,000 people in them gates every single week, and it doesn't have to take, a $75,000 purse or $50,000 purse to do it. You can do it with your local guys. And there's other ways to showcase them too. Like I said, it's just a book.
Yeah. We need to hear some. Man, that one was so good, and we're gonna get you back on here another time. We got to hear some good ideas. I mean, I just picked that out of a hat, and it was the crapper races. So, I mean, I love it. I don't know if I can do that good the next time, but I'll try my best. I promise.
Yeah, I'm glad you did that. So I'm sorry about that. Yeah, getting back to 191, and then you've heard about Lawrenceburg, obviously. I'm sure that the rumors been going around, and that I found news articles. I wanted to drive up there. I was a little tired after getting back from Mudlick, so I didn't go up there the next day. But I wanted to actually go in there and poke around a little bit and do a little trespassing with my video camera and see what's actually taking place there. And I believe that that's going to happen. I honestly think there is going to be a track in Lawrenceburg at some point in time. And then, of course, was that Cole County? With that's Jamie Hughes is somewhat involved in that, and he's very involved with media work for Mountain Motorsports Park. He's found some people about building another track. That was that Cole County, I think, or Knox County.
Cole Country, I think.
Cole Country.
Yeah.
And so it's neat to see all these places opening up, and if they can all find their fan base, there'll be a way to make cars. I mean, there'll be enough cars to go around if you're not all running the same classes. But this is thrilling for me to be able to go around and see all this stuff. I don't know about you guys. You got to be excited.
Absolutely, yeah. It's cool to see and hear the buzz about new tracks opening, and just seeing, and then new tracks coming back that have been out of commission for a couple years. You mentioned 201 a while ago. I would love to see 201 come back. I only got to see one race there, and it was a great show. It was a Lucas Oil race. Just an excellent night of racing. It took forever to get there, and that was from Corbin. So it was a haul to get over there, but had a great night.
Yeah,
that one's out in the boonies, and the trick there was that front gate. It butts up to like a little creek or a little ravine or whatever coming down. And I got there and looking around. I'm like, I don't think we should go in here. And my wife's like, she knows how to get in racetracks. I guess she was always a gate person at the races that I used to promote. So she would see places where people could sneak in and make sure somebody was there. So anyway, so she's looking around. And she's like, hey, we can get in here. I'm like, I don't know if we should. There's no trespassing signs. And I'm like, come on in. So they're looking around. I'm like, oh man, this must have been a really neat place back in the day. You got the big rock cliff walls and stuff. I'm like, this is really fun to see. But like you said, I'm like, boy, this racetrack's in the middle. This is really up there. So
Yeah.
it takes time to get there, unless you live
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, I saw one of the best races. I'm telling you, probably maybe the best race I've ever saw in my life. There, Dustin Linville and Jackie Boggs, Chris Combs was in it. I forget what race it was, but I mean, I'm telling you, for I don't know how many laps, but 40 or 50 laps, they were trading the lead every single lap. I swear, every corner it was slide job after slide job. Dustin Linville ended up beating Jackie Boggs that night. He nicknamed that old Swartz car the Tearjerker after that race because Jackie Boggs was his, I don't know, role model, whatever. His mentor, I guess, is what I should say. But that was probably the best race I've ever seen. And I've seen a lot of races in my lifetime, Eldora, everywhere. I mean, I'm telling you, that race with Linville and Jackie and Chris Combs was in it. I mean, it was just an awesome race. So I would love to see 201 come back for sure. I'd be all for that.
Oh, I would for sure.
Yeah, well, let's go ahead and move before my internet. One of these here before long, it's just going to say "forget you." I'm logging off. So I know a lot of people come on here. Our lives top 5 has become a big hit here locally because, like you said, Jeff. I mean, race car drivers are so competitive that they'll hide toilet paper in their driver's suit for a crapper race. That's just the way they are. It's the way we're made. So. Those guys are competitive. Our Lives Top 5, we do this for fun. Keep it based on local results here at our racetracks in Central Kentucky, and try to do this every week. So let's go ahead and get to those because I know some people are on here and ready to see it. So we'll go ahead and start this week with the hobby stock division here. Lives Top 5, quite a bit of change this week, guys. Not at the top. Craig Stocks remains at the top of the board here in Live's Top 5. But David Marlar is right there on his heels after a special event win. He won 1,000 to win a hobby stock race there as part of the Freedom and Fireworks at Thunder Mountain Speedway. AJ Hicks, I mean, I'm telling you, week in and week out, this thing
Not
just...
AJ Hicks.
AJ Smith.
Come on.
Oh, AJ Smith. You know, I noticed in my video last weekend, I was interviewing him, and I was trying to get who's AJ and who's TJ. And before I left the interview, I called AJ TJ. I caught myself in that. So I can't get it. AJ Smith, third. And there we go. Thanks for the help. Hobby Stocks Top 5. But I'm telling you, week in and week out, it's like if he wins one more race, he's going to be at the top. It's just crazy how competitive this class is. Randy Hacker fourth. Ross Burnett making his first appearance in Live Top 5 after a big win last Saturday, the last Saturday race Lake Cumberland had. His first ever feature win. So there's Ross Burnett rounding out the top 5 in the hobby stocks division. Wes, I'll let you have the super stocks as in our Live's Top 5 for the super stocks. Of course, we're staying at the top, same at the top for now.
For now, but he better hurry up and get that motor back in that car because he's missing races. So Blake Brown's still in the top spot. Tyler Hayes close second. Jimmy Robinson third. Dennis Roberson fourth, and Andrew Harmon fifth. Yet again, I mean, just 5 really good cars. Any given night, any track, they've got a great chance of winning that race. So there's your Super Stocks Live's Top 5.
Hey, just to interrupt real quick, Andrew Harmon, he's from up in Mudlick, ain't he?
He is, yeah. Yeah.
He finished second on Monday night. He was right there. I mean, he was a half car length back off of winning, so he might come up there pretty quick.
Well, and he's been up there toward the middle of it, and had he won, he would be up there. And I tell you how close this is. Any one of these guys, 2 through 5, right now, this is how close it is for Blake Brown. This is the truth. Any of these guys, 2 through 5, get a win before Blake gets that motor done, and they're going to be number 1. So 5 could go to 1 just this coming weekend. So that's another class so competitive. right there with that super stock class. I mean, any of those guys win, they're going to the top of the board. So it could be Andrew Harmon.
It could very well, but two little birdies have told me, and they're really, them birdies is close to Blake Brown and that team, and he's probably going to be back this Saturday. So
okay,
just keep that in mind.
Well, looking forward to see it, but it's fun competition and a fun class to watch right there. Blake Brown gets that 35 car back, and I know at the beginning of the year, man, everybody was just scratching their heads chasing him before he had the motor trouble there, and that Jason West owned 35 car, and that Hornets. In our Lives Top 5, Eric Parton remains top of the board, but this is another one. If Marty Gilley there in second. If Marty wins another race before Eric, Marty's going to go to the top of the Lives Top 5. That's just how close it is. And guess what, Wes? Before, 3 weeks ago, Marty Gilley had never won a feature before.
I know he's hot right now.
So just crazy. A special event win, Freedom and Fireworks, $1,000 he won this past Saturday night at Thunder Mountain. And like I said, now he's won 2, I guess, out of the last 3 or 4 weeks, and knocking on the door of being at the top of the list here. So it could be there come this coming weekend. We'll see how things play out at Lake Cumberland. Clint Cox in third. Chris Meyer, he's from the Mud Lick Valley area as well, in fourth. And then Raymond Fusen. Here's what I don't have the notes in front of me, but he's got either 3 or 4 wins on the year. I think it's 4. I'm pretty sure it is. Raymond Fusen, and he's 5th on this list.
Crazy.
Just crazy.
Very competitive in those top 5 cars.
Yeah, it really is. And then open wheel modifieds.
Blake Brown still in the top spot, as we mentioned earlier. Huge win at Lake Cumberland on Monday night. And have to mention, too, I didn't say this earlier, but he had a great run at Tri-Cities last night with the Summit Modifieds. I think he ran 8th and started 18th or 19th in the feature. So representing the state of Kentucky well in that, and it's just a cool deal to see him get to go and run that. I know he and I have talked a little bit, and he said I'm finally going to get to go and run this week with him, and cool deal to start off with that win at Lake Cumberland on Monday night, and just good luck to him rest of this week running with the Summer Nationals. Ben Petrie in second. Brian Nance in third. Cool deal there for Brian to win at Thunder Mountain in the first night out of the 2023 season. Just super to see him to get that win on Saturday night. Brian Barber in fourth and Cole Falloway in fifth. And yet again, there's 5 spots, but those 5 are so close to being. I mean, everybody can be. They're right there at that top spot. In open wheel modifieds.
Yeah, I'll tell you something that's crazy about that, too. Had this ended on Friday night and the weekend didn't go any further, Ben Petrie would have been number 1. Blake's been at the top of this list all year, but Ben Petrie would have been up there at number 1. He's 5 wins on the year for Ben already. But then Blake goes and wins on Monday there at Lake Cumberland and keeps himself there at number 1. So good timing for that. But that's just how close things are, and super competitive in every class here in our little area. So a lot of fun to see for sure. Late models, Lives Top 5, Josh Rice he stays at number 1. Somebody's gonna have to win a couple big races to overtake him there at the top spot for late models. Dustin Linville, after his $3,500 big event win, Freedom and Fireworks there at Thunder Mountain, his first ever trip to Thunder Mountain Speedway, and took that win, coupled with a few other wins he's got so far this year. He's moved up to second on the list. Justin Ratliff is third, Michael Chilton fourth. couple of weeks ago, Wes, at Richmond, picking up the big win there in the Hugh Junebug Roller Memorial, coming onto the list for the first time this year for the Wild Child, a fan favorite in this area, of course. And then in fifth there, A.J. Hicks, his second win in our area, picking up another win this past, not this past Saturday, but the one the Saturday before, I think it was, at Rockcastle. So move
Saturday
A.J.
before.
Hicks into Live's top 5. So like I said, every class, a lot of fun, good drivers. It can change, new drivers coming and going, moving up and down those lists. So like I said, just a whole lot of fun, and one of my favorite parts of our podcast here, getting to highlight as many of our local drivers as we possibly can. I thought I might have froze. I was like, am I froze? Am I not froze? Well, let's do one other thing real quick before we get off here, Wes. Like I said, kind of a crazy weekend the way things played out. Richmond took on that storm damage and not able to run their goal. I know talking to them is to run. I think the Butterball, that's kind of their goal, is to be back in time for the Paul Butterball Waters Memorial. Really hope that can happen because we said before, I'll say it again, the month of August is the month of Kentucky dirt late model racing. The Butterball, a big part of that coming up, so really hope they can make it back. But Lake Cumberland this weekend, the only event on the schedule here in Central Kentucky. So let's pick, and I'm going to let Sachse get involved in this too. So if you're going to be on the podcast, you got to join in on the fun and pick the winner in the front wheel drive division.
This coming week.
Yeah, this coming week. Front wheel drives. I'll give you first pick.
Front wheel drives at Lake Cumberland.
Oh man, this is getting tricky. Marty Gilley has just been really, really hot lately. Here's the catch. You know who's due? Clint Cox hasn't won in a bit. I think Clint Cox. If he shows up, that's who I'm picking.
All right, and I'll go next since I'm losing and I'm trying to take the lead in this thing. I don't want to lose for the second year in a row. I'm going to go this coming Saturday night, Lake Cumberland Speedway. I'm going to go with and Marty Gilley beat Dustin Duncan this past weekend at Thunder Mountain, too, for that 1,000 to win. Duncan finished second. Yeah, he did. And, these last couple of years, man, not as much this year, I don't guess, but still, pretty good. But Dustin's been hard for anybody to beat. But I'm going to go with Dustin Duncan this coming Saturday night, Lake Cumberland. I don't think he lets 2 in a row slip by him. I'm going to go Dustin Duncan, front-wheel drive winner, Lake Cumberland Speedway, Saturday night.
Well, guys, both of those are good picks, but I'm going Marty Gilley. He's hot right now, and he's going to put that number 11 back in victory lane on Saturday night. Get her done, Marty.
That's right. It's a good pick. I tell you, you could throw those guys in a hat, and man, it'd be throw Eric Parton in there, Raymond Fusen. You could keep going down the list. Man, just any of those guys can win it any given night. So I'm sure Saturday night at Lake Cumberland, I can bet you front wheel drive division be one of the best races of the night. So stay till the end and watch it because those guys are a lot of fun to watch. So that's coming up. That's this week. But let's go ahead since we've only got one event coming up this Saturday night, Lake Cumberland Speedway. It's I think it's Fan Appreciation Night, $10 admission coming up there. So that'll be a fun night at Lake Cumberland. Be sure to check them out this coming Saturday night. But then the following week, Wes, is a big weekend. We've got, I believe it's July 14th. World of Outlaws come to town, $15,000 to win at Ponderosa Speedway. Yeah, you're right, Jeremy. Florence also $10,000 to win at Florence this weekend as well. Don't mean to leave them out. I'm thinking within this little vicinity right here within Central, but yeah, definitely Florence $10,000 to win this weekend.
There is a non-race that caution has brought up a little bit. They are going to be doing a cleanup. They're looking for volunteers at Richmond Raceway coming up this Saturday.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I think my thought was the wife and I are going to stop over there before we head down to Lake Cumberland. So.
Oh yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that caution, and thanks for catching that, Jeff. Because yeah, I'm planning on heading over there as well to help them with some cleanup at Richmond Raceway. If you could check out their Facebook page, they've got more information of when to show up and all that good stuff on there. But if you have time this coming Saturday, be sure to stop in over there and help them with the beginning of cleanup efforts. So it looks like
10:00 on Saturday.
Okay, yeah. So please do, if you possibly can, go over and help them out with that as well. So we said World of Outlaws at Ponderosa on the 14th. That's not this coming Friday night, but the next. Huge night, man. Another national touring series coming to Central Kentucky. Really looking forward to that. Hopefully we can get some folks on here with us on the podcast next week as part of that. And then on July 15th, the rescheduled. Wes, I know this is an important one to you. The Tommy Lanham Memorial coming up on Saturday, July 15th. That's now breaking news today. You caught it first and sent it to me.
I'm
American
Worldwide
All-Stars.
West. Yeah.
That's right. American All-Star Series. Yeah, so that's cool. Really love to see that addition there. They'll bring some drivers with them, make that. I think hate to see it get rained out this past weekend, but it'll be even better.
Really looking forward to that, and that's a cool deal to get the American All-Stars series to sanction that event. And it's going to be an awesome night of racing, and also a big show for the hobby stocks as they're on the card that night. I think it's 1,000, 1,200 to win.
Yeah,
hobby stocks on Saturday, July 15th.
Yeah, somewhere around in there, 12, 15. Facts are optional here. Look on their website. It's one of the other, or somewhere around in there. But it'll be a big hobby stock race, and then so that'll be a big, huge night. Can't wait to be there. And then I think that's a Hall of Fame night for Thunder Mountain Speedway, honoring drivers from that Corbin area, and Corbin such a racing community. So it'll be a big night at Thunder Mountain. Lake Cumberland's off, I believe. The last time I think I saw that today on their Facebook page. And then I think Mudlick's got a regular show coming up there as well. But so big couple of weeks coming up here in dirt racing in the bluegrass country. So really looking forward to it.
Yeah, and everybody kind of stay tuned. We may have a Monday night show. For the men of dirt racing in the bluegrass live, just to kind of cover that big week of racing, but definitely going to have the women. And I saw that Brian Stickrod said dirt divas in the bluegrass.
Yeah, Dirt Divas. It'll be something along in that. We'll come up. We'll put that out. We're going to push it because, like I said, I want them to blow us out of the water and just have a huge show on Wednesday night for the ladies of dirt racing in the bluegrass live. At one time I was looking, we were at 5 or 10% because I can see all the different numbers and all that stuff. Women to men ratio. I don't know if that's the best, whatever, but I think now we're up to 25%, so that's good. I mean,
that's
I think
awesome.
ladies not on dirt racing in the bluegrass live. I think they deserve it.
Yeah, they absolutely do, and we love all the input of the ladies and the ladies that are drivers and crew chiefs and fans and wives and girlfriends and mothers and all. We love the ladies, so absolutely.
My wife will do a Lives Top 5 in the best bathrooms in Kentucky at racetracks.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be a good. We don't want to make anybody. We've made it this far. We don't want to make anybody mad now. So especially over bathrooms. We've already talked about crapper races. So we'll go with that. But that would probably be a good one. I'll be honest with you. Well, folks, thank you for joining us, tuning in with us, bearing with us through my internet connection issues. Hopefully. They haven't been too bad. It's been a lot of fun here tonight. Jeff Sachse, Racing Rumble. Be sure to check him out on Facebook, YouTube. He's got a Facebook page, a YouTube channel. Awesome work with videos. Thank you for everything you do, and thank you for joining us on the podcast here tonight.
Well, it's definitely fun, and anytime I can help spread the crapper races, it's worth it. I'm glad you picked that number.
Yeah, I am too. I'll be honest with you. That was a good one. Yeah. Yeah, thought it would be. Like I said, thank you to everybody out there tuning in with us, listening. And this is also available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts. So it should be on there by the end of this evening. So if you didn't hear the whole thing, you can go back and listen there. Do want to thank our sponsors as well, Smokehouse Grill and Buffet, Racetrack Connection, Bluegrass Restoration and Construction, The Detail Shop, Extreme Style Signs and Graphics, Fast Track Racing Series, Ultimate Heart of America Super Late Model Series, Dirtman Diecast, CT Promotions, Mud Lick Valley Raceway, Richmond Raceway, Rockcastle Speedway, Thunder Mountain Speedway, Lake Cumberland Speedway, Ponderosa Speedway, Ironman Valvoline Ironman Late Model Series, and the Bruce Built Performance Ironman Modified Series. This has been another fun show. We'll see you this coming weekend at the races.
See you guys. Thank you.